Thursday, February 2nd. This morning the lift came down with most of the stuff we'd asked for. No torch or candles, and obviously no radio, TV, or mobile phone. But we got the kettle, an aluminum saucepan, both brand new, and all the food and drink we'd asked for, except for the chicken. I don't know what that means. Nothing, probably. There was also a new plastic fork to replace the one I chopped up and melted. The kettle is one of those old-fashioned whistling things that you boil up on the cooker. There aren't any electric sockets in here. The cooker and the fridge are bolted to the floor, so I can't tell how they're connected. I expect the cables are threaded through the wall. I'll have to look into that. There's a lot of things I need to look into, like how to get out of here, how to sort out the cameras, how to keep things from getting too manky. The smell, for instance. Things are starting to stink a bit. We've both been washing fairly regularly, but it doesn't matter how often you wash if you wear the same clothes all the time. You can't help smelling bad. And anyway, the camera's watching us. It's not easy to feel good about stripping off to have a good wash. The rest of it is bad enough. Jenny won't go to the toilet unless the lights are out. I don't know how she manages. I just try to ignore the cameras. Ignore them. Pretend he's not there. No cameras, no one watching. Close your eyes. Imagine you're somewhere else. Believe it. Believe it. That's the thing. Believe your own lies. The smell of unwashed bodies isn't very nice, but I don't mind it too much. I'm used to it. I always kept myself pretty clean on the streets, but a lot of them don't bother. I don't think Douglas ever washed. It's understandable. So you smell a bit. So what? Everyone smells. It's no big deal. And once your body odor reaches a certain level, it doesn't really get any worse anyway. So why bother trying to keep clean? What do you get out of it? Not much. I only made the effort because, for some reason, when I look dirty, I look really dirty. Nasty dirty. Like something that's crawled out from under a rock. My hair is quite long, and if I don't give it a brush now and then, or at least run my fingers through it, it mats up into ratty old ropes and makes me look like a mad person. And if I don't wash, my skin gets kind of grayish, which gives me the sickly look of a junkie. I don't particularly mind looking like a mad junkie, but it doesn't help when I'm busking. People don't mind giving money to a sweet-looking homeless kid, but when they see a wild-haired loony on the street, they tend to assume he's going to blow the cash on crack or heroin or something. And to them, that's bad. That's wrong. W-R-O-N-G. It's bad enough begging for cigarettes and booze, but drugs? Oh no, I'm not giving my money to a drug addict. Take Windsor Jack, for example. Windsor's not that handsome, kind of beaky-nosed and mean-looking, and he's only got one leg. Well, 1.5 legs, actually. He fell asleep one night when he was mashed out of his head, slept for 28 hours with his leg all twisted up under his body, and when he woke up it was dead. Useless. No blood. Lost it from the knee down. Anyway, Windsor just sits on the street all day, holding out his hand. He doesn't say anything. No cardboard sign, nothing. Just sits there, showing off his stump and holding out his hand, hoping for sympathy cash. But he never gets much because he looks so mean and ugly, and he's always off his head. Staring eyes, blank face, zombified. He might as well have had drug addict tattooed on his forehead. Someone gave him a sandwich once. A sniffy old lady in a beige raincoat. I was busking nearby, and I saw her lean down and place a prepackaged sandwich in his hand. She told him to lay off the drugs and get some food inside him. Windsor stared at the sandwich like it was a dog turd. Then, as the old lady walked off, he looked up and chucked it at the back of her head. Later. Things have changed. They changed at noon. Jenny was in the kitchen eating a bowl of cornflakes, and I was sitting at the table staring at the grill on the ceiling, trying to work out how to kill the cameras without getting a face full of poison. Everything was quiet. Everything was normal. Everything was routine. There's always a routine, wherever you are. You soon get used to it. Lights on at 8, lift down at 9, lift up again at 9 in the evening, lights off at 12. Long hours of doing nothing. Waiting, thinking, sitting around, lying down, standing up, walking in circles. I don't like it, but I'm getting used to it, and once you're used to something, it never feels quite so bad. So there I was, sitting at the table, staring at the ceiling, deep in thought, thinking of plots and plans, hats, masks, shields, covers, when all at once the lift door closed. and the lift whirred into action. I looked at the clock. 12 o'clock? The lift doesn't go up at 12 o'clock. Not routine. Not good. Jenny came out of the kitchen, wiping milk from her chin. What's that noise? The lift. She glanced instinctively at the clock. What's happening? I don't know. I got up from the table, went over to the lift door and listened. The humming had stopped. The lift had reached the top. I turned to Jenny. Get back in the kitchen. Why? Just do it, please. Why? What's happening? I don't know. Please, just get back in the kitchen. From above, I heard the sound of the lift starting up again. Gudung, gudunk, clunk, click. Jenny's eyes grew frightened. Don't worry, I told her. It's probably nothing. Just wait in the kitchen while I see what's happening. Shut the door, okay? I'll call you out in a minute. She hesitated, staring at the lift door. Go on, I said. She backed into the kitchen and shut the door. I turned to face the lift. It whirred down and gudunked to a halt. My heart was beating hard now, and my hands were sweating. I wiped them on my shirt and took a deep breath. The lift door opened and... There were two people inside. A woman in the wheelchair and a man slumped on the floor with his feet bound and his hands tied behind his back. The woman was unconscious. She'd been drugged, just like me and Jenny. I could smell the stuff on her breath. Bitter, sweet, horrible. Her makeup was all smudged, and a dribble of sick had dried on her mouth. The man was awake, but he didn't look too good. His mouth was tied with a blood-stained gag, his nose was bleeding, and his left eye was swollen shut. The right eye stared furiously at me. Ugh, he muttered through the gag. Villa, no. I was pretty shocked, but nowhere near as stunned as I'd been when Jenny arrived. I'm not sure why. They were adults, I suppose. It's different with adults, isn't it? When you see an adult in trouble, you still feel bad, but not half as bad as when you see a child in trouble. It's the helplessness, I suppose. It gets to you, whacks you in the heart. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I've just got something against adults. Whatever. I wasn't paralyzed this time. I wheeled the woman out first, then called Jenny, and went back for the man. He was big, too heavy to drag, so I started on the ropes around his wrists. They were knotted tight. Jenny came over and cautiously approached the woman. Get some water, I told her. Who is she? She said, looking at the woman. Then she looked at the man. And who's that? I don't know yet. Get some water, please. She went back into the kitchen, and I carried on struggling with the ropes. The man was kicking his feet. No. Keep still, I told him. No. Keep still, for Christ's sake. After a couple minutes, I finally got the knots untied. The man whipped his arms free and yanked the gag from his mouth. Fuck, he sputtered, shaking some life into his hands. Why didn't you take the fucking gag off first? Shit, I couldn't fucking breathe, man. He's big. A very big man. Tall, solid, hard as nails, greasy hands, short dusty hair, work jeans, boots, and a faded sweatshirt with the sleeves cut off. He sat up and started to untie his feet, tugging at the ropes and looking around with his one good eye. What is this shit? He said. Who are you? Where's the fucking wanker? Hey, I said. He stopped talking and glared at me. I'm on your side, I told him. I'm trying to help. Why don't you just shut up a minute and let me deal with the lady, all right? He gave me a hard look. Very hard. He sniffed a dribble of blood up his nose and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Then he looked over at the woman in the wheelchair. She was beginning to come round now, groaning and mumbling and holding her head. Jenny was standing beside her with a cup of water in her hand, staring wide-eyed at me, and the big man, scared to death. The big man said, shit, and went back to untying his feet. I went over to the woman. Jenny was helping her to drink some water, holding the cup to her lips. As I approached, the woman pushed the cup away, lurched forward in the wheelchair, and threw up on the floor. The big man's called Fred. Fred what? I asked him. Just Fred. Right. The woman's name is Anya, pronounced Anya, like Tanya without the T. Anya Mason. She's one of those confident women who always get what they want. Late 20s, well-spoken, honey blonde hair, a fine nose, sculpted mouth, perfect teeth, silver necklace around her neck, dressed in a sheer white top, short black skirt, tights, and high heels. My dad would love her. She said she's in property, whatever that means. Selling houses, I suppose. That's how he got her. She'd made an appointment to show a Mr. Fowles around a luxury ground floor flat in a secluded avenue in West London. 10 o'clock this morning. She turned up alone, parked her car. Mr. Fowles was waiting for her on the front step. He smiled, said good morning. She opened the door and showed him in. He seemed pleasant enough. Did he say anything else to you? I asked her. She thought about it. No, not really. Not that I can recall. Nothing? A hint of annoyance crept into her voice. I can't remember, okay? She showed him the hallway, she told us, showed him the living room, then took him into the kitchen. While she was pointing out the parquet flooring, he got her with the chloroform. She says she knows it was chloroform because her husband works in chemicals. At this, Fred laughed. You what? What? Said Anya. How do you know it was chloroform? My husband, she repeated. He's a company manager with a multinational chemical company. What, in the fucking chloroform department? She gave him an icy look. What's your problem? Fred didn't answer, just grinned hard and scratched his arm. I know what his problem is. He's a junkie, a heroin addict. I can tell from the way he walks, the look in his eyes, the way he holds himself, the track marks on his arm. How long has it been? I asked him. He sniffed and jerked his head. What? I mimed injecting a needle. He shrugged and rubbed his arm again. This morning, a couple of hours before the van hit me. He says he does body work at a shop in Camden Town, and I'm sure he does, but I don't think that's the whole story. I know a thief when I see one. Thief, dealer, hard man, crook. You name it, he'll probably do it. He's the kind of man. Last night, he says, he was out and about somewhere in Essex. Doesn't remember where, he says. Got lost, he says. Someone stole his car. Yeah, right. At 11 o'clock this morning, he was still stuck in the middle of nowhere, trying to find his way back to London. Hitching, looking for a railway station, trying to find a car to steal. He was walking along a narrow country lane when he heard a van. He turned round to stick his thumb out, and the van drove into him. Caught him a glancing blow and knocked him into a ditch. Hurt like fuck, he said, rubbing his shoulder. I thought it was broke. And then, when I started crawling out the ditch, all covered in leaves and mud and shit, someone whacked me across the head with an iron bar. As an afterthought, he smiled at Anya and said, I know it was an iron bar because my wife works in an iron bar factory. Anya pounded. Very funny. It was pretty funny. Fred went on. That's it. Out cold. I think he gave me another couple of whacks just to make sure. Then he must have got me in the van and tied me up. Next thing I know, I'm being bundled into a fucking lift. He shook his head. He's a strong bastard, I'll give him that. He rubbed his arm again and wiped sweat from his brow. Are you all right? I asked him. Starting to feel it. Bad? It will be. Do you want anything? What have you got? Not much. Tea? Water? Tea? I shrugged. Any aspirin? I've asked for some. It was gone 10 o'clock now, so the lift had already gone up for the night. I'd put in a fresh shopping list. Food, aspirin, bandages, juice, cigarettes for Anya and Fred. It was at this point that Anya suddenly recognized Jenny. Oh, God, she gasped, staring at her. You're her, aren't you? You're that girl from the news, the one that went missing? Oh, shit, what is this? What the hell's going on here? I told her and Fred as much as I know, which isn't much. I told them how Jenny and me were captured. I told them about the lift and how we asked for things. I told them about the lights, the cameras, the microphones. When Anya realized what the cameras meant, she almost had a fit. He's what? Watching us, I said, listening. Why? I don't know. She stared at me. Are you seriously telling me that everywhere I go, this dirty old man is watching me? That's right. Everywhere? Yes, I sighed. Oh my God, that's disgusting. I'm not having that. You have to do something. You have to get me out of here. Me? I said. I don't care who, she whined. I just want to get out of here. Now. She rolled her eyes. This is impossible. I have commitments. I have things to do. She started crying. I have to get out of here. I turned to Fred. So, he sniffed. No aspirin till tomorrow? 9 o'clock in the morning, if he agrees. No cigarettes till then? Nope. Shit. Later again. Now that Fred and Anya are here, everything feels different, and I'm not sure I like it. I know there was nothing to like about anything before they were here, but I suppose I kind of got used to things as they were. Just me and Jenny, doing our best to look out after each other. But now? I don't know. I feel sort of edgy, unsettled, out of place. I just don't like it. I'm tired. It's been a long day. I'll write some more tomorrow.